Hey, what's up everybody? It's Big Dave. I'm here today to teach you a little bit about Git. So if you're new to software development, you might not be using version control yet. You might just be saving files, maybe keeping a backup. But I'm going to show you something that's going to make that process and your projects a lot nicer. So let's check it out. I can tell I have Git installed by typing git -- version. Now this is just the version that comes with OS X, so your version number may be different. I have some example files here to mimic a website we might be working on. But Git can be used for keeping track of any of your source files, no matter what the language is. First, we need to tell Git to start tracking files, using the directory we're currently in as our base of operations. To do that, we use git init, which is short for initialize. At this point, we can start using Git, but we haven't actually added anything to version control. If I accidentally delete an important file, like this text file where I keep all of my important information, it's gone. Git tracks changes, and so far we haven't told it to remember any changes. So let's get started. We can use git status to see the current state of our repository. Now, this is a really important command, and you'll be typing it a lot. Git is telling us that it sees files here, but isn't tracking them yet. Let's add one using the git add command, followed by the name of the file we want to track. If I type git status again, you can see that Git considers index.html to be a new file. It says changes to be committed. We haven't actually committed anything yet, which means we still don't have a running history of the changes we're going to make in this project. Don't worry, we're about to fix that. So let's add the rest of our files and create our first commit. I'm using a single dot after add to indicate the current directory, telling Git to add all of the files here, including the subdirectories and files in them. Now Git sees all of these files as new, and we're ready for our first commit. We use git commit -m, and then in quotes, our commit message. Now Git says the working directory is clean, which means we have no changes. Let's make a change to get into the rhythm of how we might actually use Git day to day. Now I've received some changes from our designer, so I need to make a change to the CSS on our site. I'm going to edit main.css and change our font from Arial to Comic Sans. I'm going to save these changes, and now if I look at Git status, Git shows that we have a change waiting to be staged. I'm going to use git add again to add the changes. Check git status to make sure I see what I expect. And now it's time for our second commit. Once again, git status will show that our directory is clean. So we've made two commits, but where do we actually see our changes? Using git log, we can see all of our commits in reverse order, along with a little information about them. Git uses a hash, the characters you see in yellow, to uniquely identify every commit. You can also see our commit messages here, so when you're committing, try to make your message something that would be helpful if you needed to find your change again in the future. If we want to see more details about a particular commit, we can use git show, followed by the first few characters of one of our hashes. Using git show, we can easily see what was changed in a commit. The red lines indicate what was removed, and the green lines what was added. Now let's accidentally delete a file and see how Git can help us recover when we realize our mistake. I'm going to delete the CSS we just worked so hard on. Now, without Git, that file would be gone as we saw earlier. However, if we type git status, Git's keeping track of these changes for us. Now that we've realized our mistake, we can revert the change with git checkout, followed by the name of the file we want to restore. And our file's back. Now, this doesn't have to be a file that we deleted. If we simply wanted to undo the changes we'd been making since our last commit, git checkout would have worked and reverted those changes and restored the file to its original state. So right now we're tracking the changes, saving a history of our development. We know how to undo our changes, but there's so much more Git can do. I'm only going to cover one piece at a time. So hopefully you find that helpful. If you have more questions, there are a lot of resources on the web for Git and on github.com, which we're going to take a look at next time so you can see how we can use this tool to collaborate with other developers.